All right, guys. Why can't people afford to live anymore? You know, some people have to choose to pay for gas for work or eat. That's tough. That's a tough decision. I've been there myself. Do I have to pay the electric bill, the water bill, or starve? You know, because I'm not letting my dog starve. No, my dog will eat before I do. Why can't people afford a home? It's crazy, man. My house was almost $180,000 for a 500 square foot house that I've had to make repairs to. 500 square foot. That's not very big, right? I remember back in 2020, my ex-wife and we bought a house for $120,000, and that was 3 times as big as this. That's crazy. It really goes to show you just how much inflation has really, really spiked up, in the past 4 or 5 years. When I was looking for a home, I was seeing that a lot of the homes were in the range of $230,000 to $400,000, 400, 500 plus. Most people don't even make 80, 90,000 a year. So how can someone afford to live? How can someone make a mortgage payment like that and still live fine? You can't. The price of groceries have gone up. Gas, of course. There was a point in time when gas here in Virginia reached $4.15, I think. Yeah, $4.15. That's wild. That's wild. From 2020, it was just over $2. Now this was in North Dakota, but that was pretty much a lot of the places was barely over $2, if it was $2 at all. So gas is more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. The cost of living just in general now is expensive. You have to have several different people to live with you in order to, survive. Now, fortunately, not enough for me, I survive off of my disability benefits from the VA. And if it wasn't for that, I would be homeless. There's no doubt about it. I would be homeless. And it's sad to know that a lot of people that don't have this benefit, they are homeless, right? The disenfranchisement of the average American person is astronomical. I mean, it's just crazy. It's really crazy. I was watching a lot of things happen during COVID, right? Pharmaceutical companies making billions off of the vaccines. Gigantic corporations like Walmart, Walgreens were running, not caring about the policies that were coming out from local governments or the federal government. But then you had small businesses that were being drug out of their brick and mortar, out of their restaurants, out of their bars, beaten because they weren't complying with these policies. Why weren't they complying? Because they would have lost everything if they didn't comply. But they lost everything anyways because they were drug out and arrested. How is that a free society? How is this living literally paycheck to paycheck, starving in between? How is that living? It's not living. You can't even survive like that. You know, I've had to sell my shed. I've had to sell quite a few personal items of mine in order to survive while going to school. You know, and I drive a truck that's an 8-cylinder. You know, gas isn't cheap. Yeah, I really should have. I really should have looked at who was going to win the next election to really uh, sway my decision on if I was going to buy a big truck or not. Had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't have bought this big truck. Well, that's fine. I would have been the target of my boys' insults. I would have bought a Prius. I would have been one of those guys buying a Prius. You know, charging my car from an outlet. So, yeah, you can't. No one can live this way. And then you have companies, private companies, that are pricing people out of their homes now. You know, HOAs are really pricing people out of homes too. What's really sad is our elderly are really suffering from this too, because a lot of them are on fixed income. A lot of them can't afford, you know, $1,000 payments on their rent. It's really sad the way we treat our elderly. You know, I used to work in a nursing home, and I saw a lot of it. You know, hardly anyone comes to visit them. I mean, a lot of the times they forget where they're at, and you know, there's hardly any help for them. It's really sad. We've monetized everything, even helping the elderly. We've monetized that too, because a lot of them are paying hundreds, if not thousands, to stay in the nursing homes. Man, you can't live that way either. So, I mean, what do you do, right? Why am I not seeing more people protest? Why am I not seeing more people, you know, so pissed off to the point to where, you know, they're in the streets protesting with giant posters and megaphones and red faces because they're so mad? Why am I not seeing that? Why is it that I'm seeing most people just accept their situation? I could never. No way. Mm-mm. If I had to sell my house, um, I would be digging a hole in the side of a mountain. That would be my new home. There's no way. There is no way that, because I'm not going to be homeless. I will build my own house. I'm not going to be homeless. But that might be the situation that, most people are heading towards. Living out of their car, living out of their truck, living, a whole family in one house. And I'm not talking about one generation or two. I'm talking like 3 or 4 generations. And that, no one can live like that. To be bunched up in one house because rent or mortgage is that much, that's insane. And all the while, lobbyists are, trying to push for regulations against all of this stuff. And of course, we all know how that goes. Makes you wonder if this country is really falling apart. Kind of like how Rome did. They say empires only last about 500 years. They base that off of Rome. Yeah. You get so massive to the point to where you crumble from within, and I believe we've been seeing the slow erosion of it, the past several decades. But now we're really beginning to see the falling of it, right? And it starts when people, most people, right, except for the uber wealthy, the guys at the top, when everyone else begins to see and experience that they can't live anymore, they're starving, literally, that, you begin to see actions being taken, more protesting, um, more people angry, you know, more social pressure on policies, on laws, you know. I don't think we're quite at that point yet, but I think we're definitely heading there. So, the only thing I can really recommend is financial independence. But how can you find financial independence when, we live in such a gig economy? It's so uncertain if you're going to be able to do that, because, the average job doesn't pay hardly anything anymore compared to um, compared to the cost of living, right? And I mean, the middle class is already gone. You'd have to make 120, 140,000 in order to, lead a decent life. That's just not possible for the average person anymore, especially for men. Can you imagine when the country depends on you, right? And if you have a family, which, I wouldn't recommend marriage today, but if you are married, your wife depends on you. Your children, if you have any, they depend on you. That's so much pressure on men, especially. And as the head of my household, because it's just me and my dog, even though my dog likes to lead me around a lot. The only thing else I can really recommend is, rooming up. Uh, just staying with someone. It'd be really nice to see another homestead law. That'd be really nice. But starting side hustles, that's the only thing that I can really think of, as a recommendation, well, for not just for you guys, but for myself, and that only takes you so far too, so it's kind of, what do you do? Well, I mean, did you have to outweigh your options, or excuse me, consider your options and, outweigh the risks or benefits of doing whatever you decide to do, um, if I could find more people to play music with, I'd be putting up a band, if I could, if this YouTube takes off, I'll be doing that, which I hope it does for two reasons. One, to reach out to you guys and help you guys however I can, right? Because I help myself when I help you guys. All of us benefit from this. So I mean, there's a lot there's a few different things you can do. I got into crafts work, making dioramas and making wooden necklace pendants, metal necklace pendants, whatever, clay sculpting and stuff like that I could sell on the side. But just do some thinking, do some have some conversations with yourself, figure out what you're good at and then work on that. If you're good at painting, do it. If you're good at drawing, do that. It just really depends. But this is really getting out of hand. It really is. No one can really afford to live anymore. No one can afford to get ahead alone, let alone with that. No one can really afford to save anymore. And you have, I mean, just the availability of that people have now is just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking this with each year. So, but I've already rambled on enough. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. And look, guys, I don't have it all figured out. We don't have it all figured out. So let's figure it out together, guys. And till next time, guys, I'll see you later, and I'll talk to you in the comments. Love to see what you guys are thinking. Thanks, guys.